everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome to my channel. Okay, so we have been covering 8 passengers, and we did a video a couple weeks ago about a video in which they put out, which had their son Chad talking about his current bedroom situation, and that led to a lot of uproar on YouTube. And then that subsequently led to Ruby sending out C&Ds to multiple YouTube channels requesting that they no longer publish certain things about her family. So let's talk about the balanced side, because now Ruby and Kevin, Franke, have broken their silence, and they have actually sat down for an interview with the Business Insider, who walked through what happened to them and what they claim the drama channels got wrong. I will say there was probably, I don't know, a dozen channels that covered it. Now, in the article with Business Insider, they specifically referenced 2 channels, T-Spill along with Spill Sesh. Those were the 2 that the Insider referenced, so I don't know if they brought that to their attention or if this was just like the channels in which the Business Insider found these videos from. T-Spill's video on 8 passengers does have over 1 million views, and as far as I've noticed, the video still remains on their channel today. So they sit down with the Business Insider and they basically talk about how there's this whole uproar, and it all started because of that video in which they released where Chad admits that he had had his bedroom taken away from him for 7 months, and that he admitted that he had been sleeping on a beanbag since October. And Ruby says that they did a bedroom reveal. So she said, this was her quote to the Insiders. He had done a bedroom reveal where he was excited and he put up LED lights in his bedroom and he was hanging puzzles on his wall and that he had put together and glued, and it never occurred to him that it would turn on us. That's the video in which they're referencing. Is so there's a separate bedroom reveal video that was done about a week, I think, before they did the second video. And in the second video, it wasn't the bedroom reveal. It was actually her sitting down with some of her kids, and they were talking about what they were going to do this summer, some issues that Russell was having. They took away his iPad and some other things. And then that's when Chad revealed that he had been sleeping on the floor. Now, Kevin says that people got it all wrong. And he claims that the people who've been following us this whole time, they would have perceived it as such. The problem is when individuals who aren't familiar with the narrative don't get the entire story, they fill in the unknown with their own narrative, and that's really where this blew up. So Kevin and Ruby assert that nothing happened here, it wasn't that big of a deal, and that anyone that follows them for years would not have had issues with this because they would know the narrative. Although I find that an interesting choice of words, because I didn't realize there was a narrative that was put out when you vlog. I guess I thought just vlogging was being who you are. But that was the one terminology there that I was like, I don't get it. But anyways, so then he actually explains what happens with Chad. So his explanation was they came to the decision to actually take away his bedroom because of years of physical and emotional bad behavior that he had done to his siblings and classmates, which had ended up in him actually getting suspended from school. And that was why he was sent to Anasazi Foundation Wilderness Therapy Program for 10 weeks, which provided intervention services for troubled teens. And that was the camp where they go on wilderness walks and they sleep on the dirt and they learn how to take care of themselves. Going to wilderness therapy programs is controversial. There was a governmental study about whether or not these were safe. And then there was also people from Anasazi that have spoken out that claim that the people that go out on the walks are not providing any they're not psychologists. So, but he's claiming that that's why they sent him to that camp. Now, the choice to send a child to that camp is the controversial choice, and that's kind of all over the place, okay? They say that this is how it all went down. This is how they're giving the whole side of the story. So they say that Chad and Russell, they used to have the same bedroom, and this was right after they moved. It was because they had multiple bedrooms for the boys, but one of them was being redecorated. And what happens is they say that therapists and psychologists that were involved recommended that the boys be separated and not sleep in the same bedroom. And they say they gave Chad a variety of choices about where he could sleep. They offered him to sleep on a pull-out guest bed. They gave him an inflatable mattress, or he could sleep on a beanbag. And they say, Ruby says this, what people aren't understanding is that we give our children a choice in everything. We are teaching our children to be self-governing. So as we are always very open with our son that he gets to choose how long he's separate from his brother, dependent upon his behavior. So they claim that Chad was the one that chose the beanbag because he found it to be the most comfortable, and that he also decided to remove the doors himself from his room so that he could be more transparent and to help regain his parents' trust. So apparently the door removal had been a sticking point to them. I think one channel had said, I don't know, that they had removed the doors. I am confused here. So they claim that Chad removed the doors, and he did so because he wanted his parents to trust him better, and so he felt that removing the doors would be fine. And so Ruby says, if it's your choice, I'll support you in that, but at any point you can move around. You just can't be sleeping with your brother. And then they say that once his behavior changed, he would be able to go sleep in his own room, and he knew that the whole time. And they claim it just took Chad 7 months to make the choice to actually sleep in his own room. And that, I guess, means that he was able to demonstrate to them that he could do the things in which he can do. There was a psychologist that was used in this article, which basically says that punishment like this is not necessarily an effective tool. It can be very stressful for kids, that kids need to have choices, that discipline and punishment is sort of old school parenting, and you need to be able to provide children choices. So they're saying that they gave him a choice. You can sleep X, Y, and Z. He decided where he was going to sleep. They also say they gave him a choice about, what he needed to do to get back into a bedroom. So I don't know if this is like them, like the psychologist saying like this type of discipline is unnecessary and it can actually increase stressful behavior in the child, but they claim it was all about choices. So they go on to say that the full story about what happens will be Chad's to tell. Chad, they say, is made his own choice to stay off of social media because he finds it toxic and he's disconnecting. That seems to be, she, I believe, said that she took away his phone and his social media. So I don't know if he's choosing to stay off of it and they're just using the word choosing, or if he is choosing. Because in that same video, she said that he had been not allowed to be on social media. And then she said, I am open to, in terms of like him sharing that information, there was question about whether or not he wanted to share the information. And she said, no, I'm open to sharing this, but if I had foreseen the anger, I probably would have cut it out. In a vlog at the time, Ruby said the teacher told her she was uncomfortable with Eve being hungry and would prefer if she drove her lunch over. So that was the other part of it here. So she claims that Chad wanted that information to be kept in this. And then the second video where she talks about the food and the lunch, that was the other reason that people were so outraged. And she said, I responded and said, Eve is responsible for making her own lunches in the morning. So natural outcome is she's just going to be hungry and hopefully no one gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her lunch. And they say that T-Spill shares the clip and explains that instead of being concerned for her young daughter, she says to the vlog, she has hopes no one shares her lunch with her to teach her some sort of sick lesson. And they said, just remember, this kid is literally 6 years old. But the Frankies tell the Insider that their kids all are taught at Eve's age to make their own lunches, and that they go to a school that's 45 minutes away from home. And so this is what Ruby says. My heart broke for her, and I told her, oh, honey, my darling, I'm so sorry. You're going to be hungry, and I'm so uncomfortable with this with you. I'm going to be uncomfortable alongside because I know you are so capable of picking up your lunch off the front door rug and taking it with you when you get into the car. Kevin said all the children are taught how to go prepare lunch and then reach Eve when they reach Eve's age. So he then shares that they go into the pantry, they will go get a food bar, a drink, some sort of other snack, and then they pick up a sandwich, which was already made, and a piece of fruit from the fridge, and they put it in a bag and take it to school. So it sounds like they have everything sort of made together. She just has to go and collect all the things and put it in a bag. The response here is that she's come home 2 hours later and had a wonderful, fulfilling snack. And you know what? She never forgot her lunch again. So it's a way to teach our children how to live responsibly and to be masters of themselves rather than dependent upon someone else to always take care of them. The same logic is applied to their phones and tablets. They get taken away if they use them irresponsibly. And it's not they say that electronics is a privilege, not a necessity. So I'm kind of questioning here. So they are trying, I guess it's the whole parenting style that has people so upset, that like they are trying to teach their kids to have complete self-governance and that they shouldn't be dependent on anyone. And I guess that's their philosophy, and I guess that's where people take issue, right? In my house, we wouldn't do that, but if that's what they do in their house and they believe it's what's working and it's teaching their kids to be independent, as long as it's being done in a manner in which it's respectful and the child is taken care of, it's just their parenting style. And I'm definitely not the kind of person that will slam someone's parenting style. Would I do the same thing in my house? No, but that's their choice, okay? And then they also say that after all of this stuff comes out, they weren't prepared at all for the backlash. And they referenced again T-Spill and Spill Sesh, who reported, but then they also say new accounts were springing up because they knew it was a trending topic and it would grant them hundreds of thousands of views. So I don't know what new channels popped up during this time. I, for one, didn't see a ton of new channels covering this. I'm not a new channel, and Sloan isn't a new channel, and Deaf Noodles isn't a new channel. Ready to Glare is not a new channel. I think Spill Sesh, T-Spill, Spill. I think all of these different channels covered it, and I can't think of anyone specifically new, but maybe they thought that they were new. I'm not sure. Again, they said some accounts purposely took clips out of context, according to the couple. Apparently, there was one where they did a master bathroom off limits to the kids, and they have five other bathrooms in the house, and they have access to. And Ruby says, I had made a comment, well, you could do some extra chores around the house and you can come and use this bathroom. And then apparently that clip was taken out of context, which insinuated that the kids couldn't use the bathroom. And she says it was just so malicious. They knew what they were doing was out of context. They were purely seeking to throw hate. That was their only objective. A reasonable person would not have seen that video and thought she is doing this to hurt her children. And then Kevin said, all of this has been really ironic. So many of these individuals are coming and they're intending to do us harm by accusing us of exploiting our children for money, yet they are here exploiting my children and my family for their own personal gain. Now, does everyone cover the story the same? No. I can kind of see his point to a point. However, I don't know that they're necessarily, if someone is pointing out what they're seeing, I don't think that's an exploitation of the child. It's more a reflection of the parent, right? So if someone is looking at the totality of a situation and it's a family vlog, they are not necessarily like criticizing the kids or exploiting the kids. They're talking about the parents. And exploitation, that's like you're claiming that that's the motive. And I don't know that any of these channels are specifically, the motive is to exploit. I think for some of these channels, at least for mine, it was to have a conversation about, what do you think about this? This is what's been put out. This is what people are saying. How do you feel? That kind of thing. Again, this is their take on everything. But they also claim that through all of this, they end up getting calls to CPS. And so they say that they show up completely unannounced, and it's really traumatic for the kids that the Department of Family and Child Services in Utah ends up closing it because everything was fine, nothing was substantiated. And I don't know if there was anyone specifically on their channels claiming like you need to contact like anyone. I know I didn't. I don't know if other channels did. I can only speak for myself. If people did make calls based on that, that's hard to know. I mean, I think I will say this. I know when this story came out, a lot of the messages that I was getting from it wasn't from the T channels. It was actually from people that have been watching them for a very long time that were concerned about it and were like, this just doesn't sit right with me. And it's interesting because what the Business Insider did was they spoke to a psychologist who actually deals with this kind of stuff, and they said that the reaction of people to be concerned about these choices of taking away a child's bed is something that would bring out people from a natural reaction of being upset. So the psychologist basically says, it's natural for people to be concerned if a parent is taking away a bed. That's a very big deal. It's hard to know, from my perspective, the people that were reaching out to me were very just concerned. I've been following them for years. I don't really like what I'm seeing. I'm worried. I don't know what's going on. I don't like this. And I think in the age of the digital world, it's easy to take a small situation like this and sort of blow it out of proportion. Now, if they had someone come into their home and everything was checked out and everything was fine, that's great. You know what I mean? It's good that nothing happened. I do think there is an element, and I always tell my subscribers, don't call, don't go real life. You have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. We can have a discussion about what's happening, but let's not try to get into these people's real lives. And I would apologize if any of my subscribers did it. I did not hear from any of my subscribers, in fact, that this happened or that they made calls like this. So I don't know. Anyways, she claims that everything was dropped. And she also says that, they are honest and clear with their motives, that her kids are really strong. She said, my kids are so strong. They are amazing. And they have come together and they have prayed for their enemies. These people who are hating on us, they pray for that they will feel the love and that they are searching for, and that the family is in a wonderful place right now, and they have high standards and high boundaries for their kids, but Chad is doing really well and he's not chained in the basement. Okay, so that's their take. They gave him a choice and he decided to sleep on the beanbag. He made a choice to take the doors off of his stuff. Eve's not eating was a one-time incident, according to them, and she has not made that mistake again. And she also discussed that there was real-life consequences for this. So I will say this, I'm glad they shared their side of the story. I'm glad that they are presenting things for them the way in which, it's helpful, and they feel like their longtime viewers will know who they are and agree with them. And that's wonderful. I'm glad for them. And also, the biggest thing I think all family vloggers just really have to consider at this point is this is the age that we're living in right now. It's not just happening to family vloggers. It's literally happening all across the board. You can just go on Twitter and everyone is being canceled for something, and everyone's dealing with online consequences. I've had it happen to myself as well. It's a part of your job when you become a public figure that some things that happen to you will eventually be a product of the fact that you've made your life so public. And most attorneys that work with people that are on YouTube or celebrities will tell you that once you become a public figure, you have to sort of give up a life of privacy. There shouldn't be defaming done, so people shouldn't be maliciously spreading lies about a family. And in this case, I don't think anyone was trying to be malicious. I think people were generally just concerned. And I think people were just seeing a lot of red flags that made them uncomfortable. And the platform as a whole has had problems with other channels like Daddy05. And if you remember, there was that other channel last year where the mother was actually arrested because she was forcing the kids to work, and she was locking them in a closet, and they didn't want to be working, and they were extremely malnourished. So you have a very uncomfortable place for the viewer because they've seen what can happen at the worst, and they don't want it to happen again. So they don't want to have another Daddy05. They don't want to have another Huxley. They don't want to have another, the lady that did that stuff to her kids. I can't remember what the channel's name was. They want to protect those kids. And so you have to sort of be tread lightly. But I think that commentators also need to tread lightly too and be really careful about how things are presented to viewers so it doesn't rile them up and make them feel like they have to go after someone. I don't think that should ever really be the objective. It should always be like, here's what it is, here's their side, this is what this side says, and you can decide how you feel. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Like, how do you feel? Do you believe Ruby, or are you still of the opinion of how you felt before? Do you think it was fair for there to be actual real life ramifications for them? I actually feel really bad about that. Like, I would really hope that my subscribers would not engage in that kind of behavior. And I will just put that caveat out again. Do not contact these people. Do not harass these people. Do not go after these people. Like, be responsible online and be cognizant of the fact that, just what you see online isn't the total truth and it's not the whole picture. So I'm glad they spoke out. I hope for the sake of everything that this is what's going on. I hope the kids are healthy, because that's what all of us should want. At the end of the day, that's what all of us should want. All right, you guys, so tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye.